Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and council members. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. This is a report on the Assistance to Firefighter grant applications that the fire department will be submitting for this fiscal year. So just to give you a little bit of background, the Assistance to Firefighter grant, or AFG program, is one part of a trio of grant opportunities that will be coming before us over the next 2 months. And so tonight's presentation is for the AFG grant, which is primarily for training, equipment and vehicles. It has approximately $360 million in funding for fire departments all across the country. The next grant that we will be submitting an application for, but we're not yet ready to present that, is a fire prevention and safety grant. It's a much smaller grant with only approximately $35 million in funding. That grant is primarily for smoke detector installation programs and those kinds of public safety programs. And then last, they also have a grant program for staffing for adequate fire emergency response, or SAFER. Again, it has a similar amount of funding as the AFG grant does. That is actually for staffing, and we still need to evaluate whether or not we'll apply for that grant this year, but that application period will be opening in the next couple of months. And so a little bit more background. The AFG grant programs over the years have been incredibly beneficial to the Oxnard Fire Department. You can see a number of the different grant programs, different grant awards, that we've received over the years. And at the bottom there, you can see that since 2009, we've received close to $3 million in grant funding from the AFG program. And so just to give a little bit more background regarding the AFG, their grant priorities and then the match that's involved. As I already mentioned, they cover training, equipment and vehicles. For this year, we're going to focus our applications on training, wellness, and a vehicle application. So, and then the other thing that we're doing this year is applying for some regional grants. So, as it's listed there, a fire department can be a lead on a single regional application, but then can participate in as many regional applications as there are fire departments. And so in the last couple of years, Oxnard Fire Department has taken a lead within Ventura County to ensure that we maximize the opportunities for grant funding. And so all 4 fire departments will be applying for regional grants, and I'll be going through where we're going to be participating in each one of those grants. As a little side note, the federal fire department that covers the bases here in the county are not eligible to participate in this grant program. One thing to keep in mind is there is a 10% match for all grant awards for a jurisdiction of our size. And when it comes to the match calculations, I felt like this was worthy of an explanation because, as you can see there on the slide, it's not as you would logically think that the match is calculated. So normally you would think to yourself, a 15% match on $100,000 would be $15,000. But they actually calculate it to our benefit, thankfully, that they essentially, to calculate the match, you would divide that $100,000, divide it by 1.15, and that's how you get the local cost share. So it's a little bit different from what you would logically think the match would be. And so I just wanted to make that clear because as we go through the rest of this presentation, you'll notice that the match doesn't seem like it adds up to 10%, but it actually is the way the federal government, at least the FEMA agency, calculates the cost share. So for this year, the Oxnard Fire Department will be applying for a wellness grant. As I'm sure the council and the public are aware, our firefighters need to stay in top physical condition Some people have described them as industrial athletes. So we're applying for a grant to replace exercise equipment that's anywhere between 15 and 20 years old. That is obviously needing replacement as maintenance costs continue to go up. Additionally, that grant will also provide training for internal fitness instructors, so our personnel can help each other, not only with workouts, but also ensuring that they reduce the chance of injury by being shown proper form and those kinds of things. Separately, we'll also be applying for a paramedic training grant. This is something that we've been awarded previously, so we'll be applying to send 5 personnel to paramedic school. The whole process of training somebody to be a paramedic takes approximately 9 months. And so, therefore, as you can see there, it is quite an expensive endeavor. So we're very hopeful that that grant comes through. Excuse me. Next, Oxnard Fire Department will be the regional lead for a grant for a new ladder truck. And so this is a $1.5 million application. And if we are successful, it would allow us to retire an old ladder truck from service that's done over 20 years of service now. And it's actually the ladder truck in the picture on that slide is what we're looking to replace. Separately, we are going to participate in Ventura Fire Department's application for tactical EMS training and equipment. The council is probably aware, as the public is, that Oxnard Fire Department actually has tactical EMTs and paramedics that work with Oxnard Police Department when they're doing their riskier work. And so our personnel work with their SWAT team to ensure that if there is any injuries in those high-risk operations, that we are very close by to be able to provide immediate medical assistance. And so this grant that Ventura Fire Department is applying for will allow us to train additional personnel in that tactical EMS discipline. Next, Ventura County Fire Department is going to be the regional lead for an application for new handheld radios. And so we are requesting 50 of those handheld radios. These radios will be all band radios. What that means is that it allows us to use, these radios will allow us to work anywhere in the state, and depending on what the local jurisdiction has in terms of their system, we'll be able to plug into that system because we have an all band radio. So they'll go over different 700 megahertz versus VHF, etc. And so it will allow us to essentially keep pace with technological advances in public safety communications. And then finally, Fillmore Fire Department will actually be the lead on new defibrillators, so medical equipment. For Oxnard, our share of that is listed there. And what we're requesting is 7 paramedic monitors and then additional automatic external defibrillators to ensure that we have a good inventory of those pieces of medical equipment on all our vehicles. If we are successful in that grant application, we will actually evaluate our older defibrillators to see if they can be reused in public buildings that the city owns. And so here, this slide just sort of gives you a summary. And again, I'll just point out that the local match is based on the calculations that that FEMA provides for local cost share. But you can see in total there, we will be applying for Oxnard Fire Department's share of the applications is just over $2.8 million, with a local cost share of just over $250,000. So the request is that the City Council adopt a resolution that ratifies the submission of the 6 different grant applications that I just went over, authorizes the city manager or his designee to execute the grant agreements if we are successful in those awards, and then also authorizes the Chief Financial Officer to submit reports and grant claims, and finally authorizes myself to submit non-financial reports. And with that, I am open to any questions that you might have. Thank you for your time.